Joy News Prime.
Thank you for joining us on Joy News Prime. Here on Joy News and Multi TV from wherever you're watching in the world. This is Ghana's most comprehensive 2 hours of news, of television news, and my name is Israelite. Coming up, NADMO staff picket over salary arrears dating as far back as 2013. Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority says over 200,000 successful applicants for licenses will have to use their paper sheets for a while longer as their licenses are printed. National Health Insurance Authority to deploy staff to health facilities following numerous complaints of discrimination by subscribers. And governing National Democratic Congress postpones weekend's presidential and parliamentary primaries by another 2 weeks following agitation over a bloating of the party's voters register.
And in business tonight, businesses are calling on government to reconsider the plan to review tax exemptions given them in the 2016 budget. Deputy Trade Minister Rickett Hagan, however, says it will be difficult to do that.
Also coming up in the bulletin, High Court judge implicated in judicial corruption scandal accuses colleague judge sitting on his case of bias and asks for her removal. And then in the second hour of this bulletin, we'll bring you entertainment, sports, and the feedback segment where we read your messages from social media. This bulletin is also available across Europe on ABN television. Please stay tuned. In our very first story, some aggrieved workers of the National Disaster Management Organization marched to the Finance Ministry on Monday to demand explanations for salary arrears dating as far back as 2 years. The angry NADMO staff say several attempts to get their salary arrears at the NADMO headquarters have yielded no positive results.
There was heavy police presence at the Finance Ministry Monday morning. One officer told me their presence there was to protect the Finance Ministry. Following reports, hundreds of NADMO workers would picket at the premises. But there were just about 15 staff from the NADMO directorates in Ada. Leaders of the aggrieved workers who had met earlier with representatives at the ministry were given a strongly worded caution by the head of salaries at the National Disaster Management Organization headquarters, who asked the workers to march to his office.
We are not preparing the salary. We do the inputs, then we send it to control, and then it's centralized. So if you do not inform us that your salary do not come, we in the office will not know. Let me advise you. If you have salary issues, please don't sell your organization to the public.
Sylvester Mintankwa, who had blamed the challenge of non-payment on technical issues at the Controller and Accountant General's Department, later told reporters the workers would have their salary arrears paid at the end of November.
Earlier when I told you people that it's not fair and it's not good that someone will work for a year or 2 years not having salary. But every institution has a challenge.
Can you give us a timeline as to when this time around they are going to receive their salaries?
My brother, you know, we have worked a lot. And then, whilst, you see, the guy was explaining that he came to our office and then we made him write his name. Based on the name that he wrote it, we are going to stand on that name and look at where the input is or where the wrong is coming from before we also take action. And then the system that we used to work is on. That's why I've told them from here they should march to my office so that we will take their staff numbers one by one and then identify the problem. When we identify the problem, today the problem will be solved, and then this month, ending of November, their salary will come out.
Fearing they may be victimized, the aggrieved NADMO workers declined to speak to the news team.
The National Democratic Congress has postponed its presidential primaries from this weekend to November 21. This follows petitions from some members of the NDC over concerns that the party's biometric register is bloated. General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Esedun-Ketia, has been explaining details of the postponement to the media.
Having gone through the deliberations, we came to a conclusion that the elections would be postponed from 7th September to 21st, 7th November to 21st of November. we have come to this conclusion because our timetable appeared a little more ambitious than it has intended. So in implementing the timetable, we came to some difficulties which required that the timetable should be adjusted. For instance, we adjusted the timetable by about 1 week to cater for the extension of the nomination period in Ashanti region, for instance. And again, we had to adjust the timetable for some additional days, about 4 or 5 days, to take care of during the vetting because of some difficulties. Now, after that, we realized that where we stand now, we are almost through with all our vetting and matters arising out of the vetting. We are left, the register is on the field for exhibition, and we have taken reports about how that is going today. We are left with the printing of our ballots by the Electoral Commission, liaising with the national, security, the state security apparatus about their deployment on the voting day, the exhibition of election notices indicating the order of faces, the number of people who have been approved to contest, who have been cleared to contest in each constituency, and their order on the ballot paper, and so on.
Right, joining me in the studio now is Kwachi Afreniama, and he's been following these developments for a while now. Good evening to you, Kwachi. So we knew that this was going to happen, because in the last few days we've heard about the burning of registers, because voters registered for the NDC because some party members were aggrieved. It's all part of the reasons why they are doing this. Right?
Exactly, but the core issues, and General Secretary Johnson Asiedun made mention of it, is the fact that I'm sure you remember that in the Ashanti region, for example, they held on with the vetting of aspirants there. So all that affected the timetable. When they were done with them, they needed time to campaign. But one major issue that came up when this discussion started circulating in the media was about the fact that the party was considering postponing because of the fact, this December 7 coinciding with the Hobechocho festival. The General Secretary says that this had absolutely nothing to do with that at all. And interesting point again he makes is that, and you talked about that earlier, that some party executives, we know about Lejikuku and some 2 other constituencies where they banned the voters register, the biometric data there. He says that the party will investigate, and what they want to do now is to focus on the exercise that is ongoing. Those who don't have their names in and all that will go and check. After that, the party will look critically at the issue of party executives, particularly who were involved in this act. Those who are found complicit in this will be certainly punished.
So these party executives you're talking about, their allegation is that they tampered with the voters register. Is that the case?
Exactly. And you've had some of these constituencies where party members have said that there are even names of MPP, non-MPP members on the voters register. There have been examples also cited of, for example, in some constituencies you have about 7,000 people in those areas, but the names captured in the electoral data far exceeds that by a wide percentage, and that these are some of the issues that raise suspicion among the party members. The national executive of the party was petitioned on these concerns, and they took this critical decision on it to postpone for another 2 weeks.
I would want to assume that the burning of the voters register, the NDC voters register, which we heard, in some parts of the country, would have informed this. But you're saying that they're not seeing it as one of the critical reasons why they're doing this.
Exactly.
But I want to imagine they're doing something about it.
They're doing something about it. The point is that the party says, for now, as I mentioned, they want to focus on the exercise ongoing. We have party members checking their names in the register and all that. Later on, they will deal with this issue. And the man many called General Mosquito was clear on this, that they'll go according to the party's constitution. Any party member, who is found to have been implicated in this will certainly face the full rigors of the law per the party's own constitution.
All right. In the meantime, they'll be cleaning whatever register they're using.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Kwachi Afreniama, joining us from our political desk. Now, if you're one of the thousands of drivers walking around with cheats in your pocket as a license, you can start hoping that the real thing might come to you soon. The emphasis is on the word might. The good news is that the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority dispatched out 40,000 licenses to replace those paper cheats, but that would leave more than 210,000 drivers with more of those cheats in their pockets. The DVLA is assuring that all those temporary cheats will be replaced in the coming weeks. Outgoing Chief Executive Officer of the DVLA, Rudolph Beckley, says the authority is committed to a smooth process in the acquisition of driver's licenses.
I'm glad to announce today that the licenses have been printed, and in the first batch, totaling 40,000 pieces, are here and will be distributed to the various stations today for onward distribution to the owners, to the respective owners in the respective stations from tomorrow, Monday. We have here various district and licensing managers earlier mentioned, and they will be taking delivery of the 40,000 pieces of licenses. We also use this occasion to announce that systems and structures have been put in place at the various offices for the distribution of the licenses to the respective owners. We have engaged the national service persons who have also been taken through training to distribute these licenses quickly. All the station managers have been informed about this, and they have erected a structure that will be dedicated to the distribution. And therefore we believe that once the distribution goes on, by the end of this week, all the 250,000 backlog of licenses would have been distributed to applicants.
He also announced new security features on the new license.
Quite a number of security features that are on this license which will determine a genuine one from a fake one. And therefore, technical officers at the DVLA understand the security features. These security features may not be known by the public and will not disclose it to the public. But then if you look at the features again of this license, it comes with the biodata of the applicant of the license. It comes with the C of C, that the certificate of verification or certificate of competence of the licenses that ensures that this particular license will be uniquely identified to the owner. So with the features, we have a lot of security features encoded in them, and that would ensure that we do not, or that will create a difference between this and then the fake ones that will be coming up in the system.
Well, many drivers who rushed to the DVLA to try and get their new licenses were left disappointed on Monday.
I came to see whether the original license for my reverend is in, but I came and then they said I can check from next week. So the date that was given to him was extended to next year, 2016. Yes, so that's why I came. So it has been extended, but then I've been told to check next week if the actual license is in. Yeah.
But the report we heard today was that the actual licenses were supposed to have been given to those of you who have applied for it.
Yes. It was on the same ticket that I came. We also had the same information that it has been released, so we can come for our original licenses. But then I came and they are like, I should check from next week. So they've extended the date. So I'm still holding the temporary license. The original one, they said I can check from next week. I don't know what is happening.
How do you feel about the fact that you weren't able to meet your expectation?
Well, it's a bit of a disappointment, because definitely you have to come back next week again and then join the queue for it. Meanwhile, it could have been given to you today. Yeah, I came from somewhere. I have to leave my work and then come and then pursue the license. So definitely checking it again next week, it will take some time. So it's an inconvenience, but then you have no choice. You still have to come back next week. Yes.
I came here. I spent almost 1 hour and 30 minutes, and they didn't give it to me. They told me we need to come in next week, and I said okay, let me go for renewal, and then they give me 26 April 2016. So that is the difficulties, that we don't get the news clear, or the people are not speaking the truth to the public.
But are you aware that they were supposed to have issued you with your license today?
Mine is last month that I need to get mine, but I always have been coming up and down and I don't get the good results. So it's this morning that I had this one. I said, okay, then that means mine is ready, because once it is last month or last 2 months, yeah. And then I realized that today they have announced it, and maybe mine will be ready. But I came here, I go through the process. After the process, more than 1 hour 30 minutes, they said on list. They put it on stamp and it's next year.
How do you feel about it?
It's very bad. You know, you drive on the road and you don't have a license, and then police people will stop you and ask you what is the license, and you show a dead license to the policeman. Probably the policeman will take something, because he will not allow you for it to go just like that.
You're watching Joy News Prime, and still to come, the battle for the election of a presiding member for the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly has become a spiritual combat, as various factions were seen invoking curses on the opponent with schnapps and eggs. We have that and more coming up after this break. Please don't go away. You're watching Joy News Prime. Now on to the rest of our stories. Embattled High Court Judge Justice Paul Derry is accusing Appeals Court Judge Justice Gertrude Tokono of bias. Justice Tokono is sitting on some of the cases Justice Derry has filed against the investigations into allegations of corruption against several judges. In a latest suit filed at the Supreme Court, Justice Derry is asking for Justice Tokono to step aside from hearing the cases involving him. Malik Dabu of our political desk has been going through the suit and joins us with more. Good evening to you, Malik.
Good evening.
Now, I understand that this suit actually was sent to you.
Yes, lawyer forwarded it to me.
So increasingly you're becoming the one they're sending them to.
Well, we do have links, we do have connections with these persons when they have matters they like to share with you.
Which is very good. Now, why is Justice Derry accusing Justice Gertrude Tokono of bias?
First of all, I think there's need for us to give a background to what happened. When Anas came out with his video, Justice Derry was one of the High Court judges. There were 12 of them, 2 of them are on retirement, 10 of them. Justice Derry went to the High Court and he was essentially arguing that, first of all, the manner in which Anas did the recording was in violation of his right to privacy. He asked for many other things. Now, whilst that case was still pending in court, Anas indicated that he was going to screen the video at the International Conference Center. Justice Derry brought suit to stop that from happening. He went back to court and said that he was dropping the one he was seeking to injunct Anas from screening the video, but he still left the International Conference Center case there because he wanted the conference center not to allow Anas to screen the video. That case was still pending. Then Anas went to screen the video. When Anas screened the video, he cited the International Conference Center, a couple of other people. There were 5 respondents in that case. He cited them for contempt, and his argument essentially was that, look, I came before the court, I said that I didn't want this matter screened before anybody, and yet these persons, the Media Foundation for West Africa Executive Director Suleiman Ibrahima, there is Bolari, a number of them. He said that these persons engage in conduct that prejudiced the case, and his argument was, to the extent that the matter was before the court, anybody who dealt in a manner with the matter, in a manner that scandalized the court, ought to be committed to prison. So he brought this matter before the judge. Remember that the Chief Justice Georgina Theodora Wood empaneled this Court of Appeal judge, Justice Gertrude Tokono, to hear all the matters concerning this case. So that was how come she came to hear this matter. When the matter came before her, she dismissed the application for contempt committal, and her argument was that Justice Derry himself had dropped the case against Anas. So if you drop the case against Anas, who is the principal actor in this matter, you cannot then seek to hold other people in contempt. When the case was decided, Justice Derry and his lawyers argued that they were unaware of the decision of the court. In fact, they didn't know that the case was going to be heard that day. Yeah, so they argued that the judge erred in hearing the matter without giving them notice for them if the judge wanted to bring the matter forward, because the matter had been slated to be heard on a certain date. If the judge wanted to bring it forward, the judge ought to have given them notice.
They had a point in that case, didn't they?
Well, so they went and appealed. They said they were going to appeal. They served notice they were going to appeal. They appealed. But now what he's arguing is that the judge acted in a manner that showed that she was biased against him. He's also seeking that, look, the judge had discretion by law to bring back a matter forward and hear it. His case is, in deciding to exercise that discretion, the judge didn't exercise that discretion in a manner allowed by the Constitution. The Constitution in Article 296, says that any institution or body or person who has a right to exercise some discretion must do that in accordance with fairness. His argument is he did not think that the judge exercised fairness when he exercised this discretion. To that extent, she's biased against him, and to that extent she cannot be allowed to continue to hear the substantive matter which is before her. And the substantive matter is, Anas recorded the video in violation of his right to privacy. They should not allow the screening. All of that are wrong in law.
And so what's he asking for?
Well, he's asking that the Supreme Court should exercise its supervisory jurisdiction. Remember that this is a high court case. The Supreme Court supervises what happens at the lower courts. So he's asking the court to exercise its supervisory jurisdiction and issue orders that will restrain the judge from hearing this matter. That is, a different judge should be empaneled to hear the substantive matter.
All right, since you have credible sources and you've been receiving all these suits that are coming through, have you heard from Justice Jednasam?
We still don't know where he is. We should be asking the police where he is. I'm sure they will be in a better place to tell us.
All right, thank you very much, Malik Dabu, for that insight. In moving on to other stories, police at Kenyase in the Kwabre East District have mounted a search for the father of a 3-month-old baby whose mother attempted to drown her. The mother is currently in police custody after dumping the baby in a septic tank at a brim. The baby survived 5 hours in the tank before she was rescued. Police say the father is being sought because he failed to take responsibility for her upkeep, explaining this might have contributed to the mother's attempt to kill her. Our reporter, Ohiming Teria, is on the beat and joins me on the phone. Good evening to you, Ohiming.
Good evening, Israel.
Now, where is the baby now and how's she doing?
Yes, currently the baby has been moved from the pediatric emergency ward unit to the pediatric ward at the Confanoshi Hospital. So doctors say she's out of danger as we speak now. Yes.
How about the mother?
Yes, coincidentally, it is the mother, Ata Adoma, who is currently taking care of the baby at the hospital after she was granted police inquiry bay on Saturday with two sureties to justify police the welfare of the child is paramount now. And so inspiration from the Children's Act, which stipulates that in situations of this nature, the child's welfare should supersede all legal actions. So the police want the mother to, for instance, breastfeed the child, for the child to be healthy before they go ahead with any legal proceedings against Israel.
But are they not worried that this same mother who attempted to drown the baby will do so again?
Yes, they are equally worried. When I spoke to the police founder, he indicated that police are being cautious at this time around because the mother and the baby are at the hospital. They've also entrusted the care of the baby to the health workers, the nurses and doctors at the Confanoshi Hospital to be a bit vigilant and also surveillance at this best to ensure that the life of the baby is. Let me also emphasize that the mother sounds so apologetic when I spoke to her before she was granted bail. So police believe that this time around, effort for the mother to end the life of the baby will not materialize, for instance, after she failed to do so in the first attempt.
All right, thank you very much, Ohiming Teria. Ohiming Teria is with Inshra FM in Kumasi. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you business news. Please stay tuned.
Business News is brought to you.
It's time for business, and Etonam says here. Good evening to Etonam.
Good evening.
So on the bill tonight, you have some tax exemptions. You have IMF, you have the budget issues.
Details coming up shortly as well.
All right, take it away, Etonam.
All right, now, one of the biggest challenges that governments might have to deal with in the next year is to make sure that targets set out in the 2016 budget are in line with the IMF program. But as George Riafe reports, one area that has got governments thinking is keeping the budget deficit around the projected 5% of GDP.
Government has always ended the financial year spending more than what it mobilizes in revenue. Therefore, for many, it is not a big deal at all if it ends the year spending more than what it gets in income. However, signing up to an IMF program has changed all these dynamics. This is because government must make sure that in the 2016 budget, it reduces the deficit of up to not more than 5% of the total value of the economy. But sources close to government have told Joy Business that it might be difficult to meet the said target, even though it has initially given the promise that there wouldn't be any aggressive spending in the 2016 budget. This means it might have to renegotiate or seek some waivers from the IMF. But we're concerned that the IMF program hasn't brought about the quick recovery that we're all looking forward to. It is likely the call by government might be rejected by the fund as it moves to safeguard the credibility of the program. This might put a lot of pressure on the government when it comes to funding the budget deficit, especially at the time that the Bank of Ghana can no longer fund government operations from next year. Sources close to government have also said that they will now be left with just two options. That is, raise more revenue by tax hikes or expanding the tax net to meet its financial obligations, or carry out some expenditure cuts, a situation that might be difficult to meet, especially in an election year.
Meanwhile, tax consultant and lawyer Ali Nachia says government can go ahead with a plan to review tax concessions granted to businesses in the 2016 budget. There are fears that if government goes ahead with the move, it would affect Ghana's efforts to attract investments, but Nachia disagrees.
Look at investments and you try to find out what are the factors that drive investment. I don't think tax becomes the key determinant for somebody to invest. The first an investor will look at is infrastructure. Is there stable power? Are there road networks? Would I get reliable water supply? 2, is the economy politically stable? Would my investment not be jeopardized when there is any uprising, mishap or disturbance? 3, the investor may want to look at what is the macroeconomy like. Do they have a strong currency? Do they have a big market? Can I market my goods and services and get returns for my investment? What is the lending rate? Am I able to access facilities? They look at what is the judicial system. Can I get redress efficiently, effectively, and quickly so I continue with my business? I'm going to spend all my other working business life in court. Once these are okay for them, they are good to come in. Tax is on profit, so it is pro or after the business, not before. So when you are giving incentives, nobody is advocating that all incentives should be scrapped, but the incentives that are not giving the desired results cannot remain in place. For example, you give an incentive to a sector hoping it will drive the prices of that sector down to grow business in that sector, to increase GDP, create jobs. If that is not being achieved, why would that incentive still remain? You may have to review it.
Joy Business is learning that some of the areas that might be affected by the proposed review includes operations of free zones companies, imported raw materials, and restricting the power to grant exemptions if there need be to the Finance Ministry. Businesses are calling on government to reconsider the plan to review tax exemptions given them in the 2016 budget. President of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Seth Ejeba, tells Joy Business the move will push foreign investors out. He is therefore asking government to rather address the leakages in the system and spread the tax net to raise more revenues.
If they compare the incentives other countries are giving to those in Ghana, people might be compared to relocate. And that goes against us because we have a lot of unemployment challenges in Ghana. And we are hoping that many more companies will come in to establish open companies to help us to relieve our people from the challenge that we are in. So if we should take off the exemptions that are the attractions for people to come in, then automatically business people are not doing charity. They are in to do business for money. So if they realize that facilities being offered by Ivory Coast, Burkina or Niger are far better than Ghana, they will relocate and we'll lose them. So I think government should look at it carefully and look at the pros and cons and see what to do. Adding of taxes is not the solution, but spreading the tax net for every living Ghanaian to pay a bit of tax will help us to get the money. And trying to find a way to block the loopholes, that money goes into the drain. If we're able to do that, we'll get a lot of money. Because people need those exemptions, but just that those who are supposed to give the exemptions are abusing them. So those who don't deserve are going under the cover to use those ones. This is the abuse. But if we say because of the abuse, we don't address the issue of the abuse, we want to curtail everything entirely. It means that we are going to allow potential investors not to come to Ghana, and we need them.
In a related development, Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry Kweku Hagen tells Joy Business it might be difficult to reverse this plan.
You see, I think we need to understand that tax incentives are not the only incentives for businesses or for industry. There are other incentives. There are other things that are being given to industry to help them. Taxes is just one of them. So if we're always talking about getting tax exemptions or getting tax relief for people to invest here, I don't think that's exactly right. You need to create a conducive atmosphere for business and for industries to be placed here, and it goes beyond just taxes. So taxes is just one element. I am somebody who believes in giving tax incentives to be able to attract people to invest here, but you also have to make sure that you strike a right balance and that you are not just giving tax incentives when you are not actually realizing any benefit from that. It has to be measured, and we have to make sure that if we are giving such incentives, it is actually serving the intended purpose. You see, taxes should not be set in stone, and every now and then you need to actually review them. I mean, why do we get taxes? We need taxes to be able to, as I said, run government programs. There are also some taxes that do more than just raising money. So every now and then, I think it is important for the Ministry of Finance to review some of these taxes. Some of them have sunset clauses, that when it serves its intended purpose, it can actually, be removed. So it is something that the ministry need to sort of do every now and then to make sure that we are actually applying the right taxes, to the economy, and that all the incentives that are being given out there are serving its intended purpose. But as I said, to be able to incentivize businesses and industry, it's more than taxes. There are other things that you can do to create a conducive atmosphere for businesses to operate here and for people to want to come and invest here.
All right, now we are going to the stock markets. Let's see how your stocks are faring and which stocks you should look out for this week. Now, we have EBG, the top 3 gainers. We have EBG. The previous price was 7 cedis, and the current price at the close of market was 7 cedi 50 pesos. We go to COW. It was trading at 78 pesos, and it's now trading at 79 pesos. And the Societe Generale, it was traded at previous price was 78 pesos, and the current price is now 79 pesos. Let's go to the losers. We have Bob BOPP. At the opening of the week was 3 cedi 95 pesos. At the close, it was 3 cedi 80 pesos. FML, it was 7 cedi 35 pesos, and then at the close was 7 cedi 30 pesos. And so now you know which stocks to look out for this week. That's our wrap up with business. My name is Eton Ramsey.
Business News was.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. The National Health Insurance Authority is planning to deploy its staff to some health facilities across the country from next month to check claims by subscribers that they are discriminated against. NHI subscribers has consistently complained they are either sidelined at health centers or don't enjoy the best of care because they present NHIA cards. Officials of the authority say the staff who will be stationed would assist cardholders get better care. And Odame has more on this.
NHIA subscribers have for a while now complained that health workers look down upon them when they show up at the country's hospitals and would rather give priority to fee-paying clients. In some instances, subscribers have been turned away entirely because of government's indebtedness to the health facilities. At a workshop to disseminate findings of a research by the Noguchi Memorial Institute on the sustainability of the NHIA, lead researcher Dr. Edward Nketiah-Mponsa said discrimination was the topmost complaints by subscribers.
Issues regarding, drug stock or non-availability, functional relationship with healthcare providers, the attitude of staff, nurses, the fact that they are not provided feedback, the fact that the benefits package of the National Health Insurance Scheme is not even well spelled out. So the policyholders thought that they were giving inferior services relative to those who were paying out of pocket.
Dr. Nketiah-Mponsa highlighted some interventions such as post-care interviews and community engagements to address the complaints, which have been quite successful. He says it will make a huge difference if the NHIA could replicate it across the country.
We have strongly suggested that we could replicate it because it's quite cost effective. You don't need to commit so much resources. But I also forgot to mention that we introduced another dimension of the intervention in 6 of the facilities, which was more involving in terms of the cost, what we call My Care.
The NHIA's Deputy Director of Corporate Affairs pledged the authority will consider the recommendations. Adelaide Akowa Bonatel tells Joy News the deployment of staff to hospitals is an initiative that has been in the works for some time now.
We are going to work in collaboration with the providers, and in case you go to a facility and the nurse was not nice to you, if you have to wait for a long time, our staff is going to find out why you were waiting. Didn't they have a doctor? Whatever the issue is. So these are issues that we are going to be on the ground to help address.
When is the start?
We are hoping by the end of the year.
Which is like a month away.
It's a month away, yes. It's very ambitious, but we've been thinking about this for a while.
For Joy News, my name is Hannah Odame.
President Mahama is demanding speakers of African Parliament hold members of the lawmaking body to high level of integrity to win back public confidence. He wants parliamentarians to address what he describes as deeply polarized partisan positions adopted during debates and rather partner government in the development of the nation. Addressing the Africa Regional Commonwealth Speakers Conference here in Accra, President Mahama said MPs must work to erase negative perceptions among the public that MPs only work together to fix their conditions of service.
For us here in Ghana, the public has raised concerns at the deeply polarized positions adopted during debates and the extremely partisan positions taken when conducting the business of the House. The public perception of our parliament is of a deeply divided house of rabble-rousers who cannot reach consensus on any issue of national interest unless related to the welfare of members of parliament. Parliament, even though constituted by various political party representatives, must see themselves as key partners in the development agenda and not opponents of development. Parliament must be a facilitator of national progress and not a hindrance to it. The role of MPs is underrated. The public believe that Parliament does little work and accords itself many privileges. This perception has eroded the dignity that Parliament must be imbued with to be able to discharge its mandate. This perception is obviously due to a lack of understanding of the critical role Parliament plays in advancing our national progress. This could also be due to the conduct of a few MPs whose acts of omission or commission have besmirched the reputation of Parliament. Parliament must hold its members to a high level of integrity and conduct to win back public confidence.
Speaker of Ghana's Parliament, Ododo Ajaho, wants his colleagues to stand up against excessive partisan considerations in their rulings.
But with all our imperfections as parliaments,
in emerging democracies on the continent, I have faith in our parliaments and urge you all to do same. I therefore call on conference to share best practices to assist us forge strong and credible mechanisms to raise the confidence of the citizenry in our legislatures. This gathering offers us an unrivaled opportunity to share experiences and chart a more credible path with actions and attitudes that will engender public confidence in our respective parliaments. As speakers, we have an opportunity to assess our roles and give a credible message of hope and direction to those we serve. It is the surest way we can proudly proclaim our continuous relevance to parliamentary democracy. Our role as speakers is to possibly bridge the political divide and to ensure that the common good comes first.
More than 6,000 judicial staff across the country will, in less than 48 hours, begin the partial withdrawal of services over the delay in the payment of their allowances. The workers say the management and government have both failed to pay allowances due them since January. Alex Nate is president of JUSAG.
Organization must have its, terms of engagement and be committed to it. If you have workers who are rendering such an important service, and under their conditions, you have allowances that are to be paid. You don't have to be on and off. You don't have to default. And even when you default, you need to come out, call the leadership of the staff to tell them, this is the challenge, how do we deal with it? Then you build consensus. But when you default and you don't call, you don't communicate as to why, then of course you are presenting a negative picture to the staff. From either the Labor Ministry or the Judicial Service Management, government has not brought the money. Wait a minute. And we have been waiting. For how long must we wait? We must live decent lives. We have family. Our children go to school just as anybody's child goes to school. How do you expect us to sustain these pressures on us? Okay, so these issues we are talking about are very serious issues, and we expect our stakeholders to attach that importance to it.
We're taking a break now. When we come back, we bring you international news, but still to come in the bulletin, the battle for the election of a presiding member for the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly has become a spiritual combat as various factions were seen invoking curses on the opponent with sharps and heads. Please stay tuned. We'll be back in a bit. All right, time now for Aisha to tell us what's coming up on JN Interactive. Good evening to Aisha.
So many interesting things coming up, especially what's trending most on Twitter, and you know what it is. Don't talk about it because I want it to be a surprise, because I've got good news for drivers who have been itching to get their actual licenses. The Drivers and Vehicle Licensing Authority dispatched out 40,000 licenses to replace cheats which were given to drivers to be used temporarily. That's good news, isn't it? Also, news anchor and producer Nanaba Namwa has tendered in her resignation letter to her employers. She's been trending all over social media. Now, dancehall artist SHATTA is making some very controversial allegations against his former manager, Bulldog. Let's get interactive within the hour. My name is Aisha Ibrahim, and the segment is brought to you by Airtel.
Have all that coming up later on. That's going to be in about 30 minutes, and I'll call it 2 resignations and a license, and a driver's license. That's what's coming up on Joy News Interactive. But we have a lot more also coming up. We have entertainment, we have sports. Please stay tuned. We'll be back in a bit. You're watching Joy News Prime Time now for a recap of our top stories. NADMO staff picketed over salary arrears dating as far back as 2013. Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority says over 200,000 successful applicants for licenses will have to use their paper cheats for a while longer as their licenses are printed. National Health Insurance Authority to deploy staff to health facilities following numerous complaints of discrimination by subscribers. And governing National Democratic Congress postpones weekend's presidential and parliamentary primaries by another 2 weeks following agitation or bloating of the party's voters register. Now on to the rest of our stories. The Ghana Journalists Association has petitioned the Office of the President to provide the Presidential Press Corps with better conditions of service. Citing the recent accident that claimed the life of Ghanaian Times reporter Samuel Nyama, GJ President Afilmoni said it's about time the presidency treated journalists with a lot more respect. He was speaking to Joy News after a ceremony to mark International Day to end impunity against journalists.
We have a responsibility imposed on us by virtue of our position to champion their cause, to seek their welfare, and to defend them, rally to their defense anytime they are molested, anytime they are attacked in their line of duty. We've had occasion to talk to the presidency, and sometimes our interventions have been misinterpreted. And but in the midst of the misinterpretations and misperceptions about our interventions, we shall never flinch from doing what is right, from doing what is onerous, what is righteous, to ensure that our Presidential Press Corps work in conditions of safety and comfort. We've sat down with the highest authority to look at how best to safeguard their interests. We even gone to the sense of clinching an insurance deal to ensure that they are covered in the case of any eventuality.
Insurance deal with which insurance company?
We are in talks with Met Insurance Company. Others have come on board. We are sending the proposals.
There are calls for the president to sack Standobi in connection with the Yaya issue. What's your take on that?
We have made our stand clear. Again, all kinds of issues have been twisted. But the most positive enemy of truth will even admit that we've not kept quiet about this issue. When it's happened, we came out publicly to condemn condemn what he did. We even had a press conference here in this very building. We had a press conference.
Are you also supporting the calls for?
We have made our statement clear. I don't know whether you are at a press conference. We have made our statement clear. We issued a statement. Even right now, I made reference to that. And if you care, you can go for the statement we issued. And sometimes when people know,
for others who may not know what your statement said, would you reiterate what you said in your statement?
I've said it that any attack against a journalist is an attack against all of us, and any move which will bring justice to their victims should be pursued through letter.
In a related development, managing editor of the Ghanaian Times newspaper, David Agbenu, is asking the Inspector General of Police, Mohamed Alhassan, to expedite investigations into the accident that led to the death of Ghanaian Times reporter Samuel Nyama. In August this year, a bus conveying the Presidential Press Corps from Ho to Accra skidded off the Dowenya-Accra road, killing Mr. Nyama on the spot. Several other journalists were injured. 2 months after the accident, Mr. Agbenu says he is yet to gain closure on the matter.
I appeal to the IGP to ask his men to expedite action on the accident report of Samuel Nyama. I'd wanted to, IGP was supposed to be here, and I'd wanted to appeal to the IGP directly. But since he wasn't here, and this COP Ampemani came, I made the appeal through him to IGP to expedite action.
What exactly do you seek to achieve by this appeal?
Well, I remember when the accident occurred, the police promised that they were going to conduct an investigation into the accident. And it's only natural that we know the outcome of the investigation. Indeed, we will come to a complete closure if we knew the cause of the accident.
It's been more than a month since the accident. What have you heard so far from the police, investigations and all that?
Nothing. That's why I made that appeal.
anything that they are delaying in giving out the results?
Not so much, but I'm just sending a message to the IGP that it should be done. I don't know the procedure. I don't know the structures, how they conduct investigations to this matter. So I cannot say they are delaying or not, but just that I want to remind the IGP that we are still waiting for the report.
Now, the battle for the election of a presiding member for the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly has become a spiritual combat, as various factions were seen invoking curses on the opponent with schnapps and eggs. Correspondent Erastus Sardonko witnessed some of these unusual happenings and joins us live on the line with more. Good evening to Erastus.
Good evening, Israel.
Right, so what about the curses that were being invoked at this event?
Israel is an interesting spectacle to behold, and it's all arising out of the presiding member election. If you recall, the other presiding member, Nana Akufo-Addo, who has been running for a very long time indeed, his time is up and they need to go for a re-election. Now, Adumhene Bafo Ajiman is standing up against Akufo-Addo. Now, the whole assembly members are divided between the two. Now, there is an element of politics also in this whole saga. Now, Nana Akufo-Addo is believed to be an MPP, is a widely known MPP person, I must say. And so there are people within the assembly who are aligning themselves with the MPP tradition and are voting for Nana Akufo-Addo. And then the Adumhene is a government appointee, so he's widely perceived to be an NDC person. And so it went that for the first time, they each did not get any the 98 and above to really get the seat. It's gone on like that for the third time running. Nobody can get the right number. Now the cases are coming because an MPP group last week invoked cases with snaps and eggs, indicating that 87 of these assembly members are known NPP members who were voted for because they are NPP members, and they are supposed to vote for Nana Akufo-Addo. They did not. So they were invoking cases on them that if they do not vote for him this time around and they vote for anybody else, they should die. Now the assembly members, some of who also belong to the other side, have also come to invoke cases on these people to reverse the case or else have themselves to blame. So that is the whole saga.
Now, how seriously are they taking these curses?
I must tell you, if you are an Ashanti man and you are to be in Ashanti region, you will take a case involving Antoine very seriously. It's a deity that people really revere. And so people are taking this very seriously. In fact, the last time they went for the election, you know, from the other time, the Adumhene was leading with a wide margin, about 20 votes. Now, the margin narrowed to about, say, 10 votes. And it's all because of the cash scare, because people are afraid now to go and vote in the other direction, because if they do, they are afraid something might happen to them. That is how far people are taking this.
All right, thank you very much, Erastus Sardonko. But we're going to leave you with what exactly these people are being saying, the invocation of these curses.
Mayor, I'm assembly member. This will be an elected member. Then are assembly members. And now you know coming right to be I don't know about what's for him about assembly members. So we want to have a particular candidate. No, Kumasi so be enyano. I am an Antwa. I yakono de enya yanta. And right now I'm coming na atwem yelu obi anka mo hwe. And now in my right here no 48 hours. Some of my Ghana-Video, some of my Ghana-Video, I am Nana Ayanta, Nana Antwa, and Nana Kono form so. I don't come so mungu. Obi also a sham rank and chin so amamu go diano. I was on your due advantage about this election. Ah, I'm radio so no more shade. Say Nana Akufo-Addo Diano be, and also no more shade so. And Nana Kono so. No more Obi also so. Obi ana dey say rank the go diano. I'm going to put some of the team on the Diana. And the Bias one I just about to have a map for the winning. Now, so the people think you Robert Akeno, somebody, the Amo, the Master may be any home and to never feel so. So, the Garcia said, so I'm
Entertainment news is brought to you by
Airtel, the smartphone network.
And Ms. G is here. Good evening to you, Ms. G.
Israel. I have your yellow tie, you know.
You do?
I haven't seen a yellow tie in a very long while.
I haven't used it in a while.
Yeah, it looks good on that shirt. It does.
I hope it comes out that well on TV.
Yes, it does. It does. I have been watching it before I came in here, so
okay.
It does.
Thank you. All right, let's start with SHATTA Wale. I mean, there's some resignation. We've been hearing some resignations.
Exactly,
now.
exactly.
We'll start with SHATTA Wale's, you know, there's this back and forth between him and the manager.
Yes, exactly. On Saturday, what happened was that we read a press release by Bullhouse Entertainment signed by one Kendrick Yehowada, who says is the CEO of Bullhouse Entertainment, talking about the fact that they have decided to part ways with SHATTA Wale. That's the management and the entertainment house has decided to part ways with SHATTA Wale.
I thought we're talking about, is he the same as Bulldog?
No. So Bulldog is a direct manager of SHATTA Wale, but the entertainment house under which he's signed is Bullhouse Entertainment. Okay. And so the CEO is Kendrick Yehowada, who signed that press release. And then SHATTA Wale comes to talk about the fact that, look, I'm going to address this issue on Monday. I'm going to have a press conference on radio. I haven't heard that before. So today, earlier in the day, he had a press conference on Plus FM, and he's been talking about everything that has happened. The fact that he never had a contract with Bulldog. Bulldog is an incompetent manager.
Oh,
exactly,
no.
You know, and that he just needed somebody for a bait to enter into the industry or for the industry. That's how come he went for Bulldog. Bulldog was never bold enough to sign a contract with him because Bulldog was enjoying all the goodies that comes with managing SHATTA Wale. And so he decided that, look, I'm going to let this guy go. And he even made a very strong allegation that Bulldog threatened to kill him just as he did the guy. A guy who he decided never to mention. And you know that Bulldog was arrested in some time past in connection with Fennec's death.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so Caucasy and the family of Fennec have also been reacting. They've asked the police to delve into the case again and find out which guy SHATTA Wale is actually talking about. So that's been the back and forth.
I mean, it was supposed to be a resignation or, you know, parting ways with one company.
Exactly.
And then all these things are coming up.
Yes, and SHATTA Wale said he's offended because Bulldog knew that he was going to sack them. And so they decided to, you know, go ahead of him. Exactly. Go ahead of him and release that statement that they have parted ways. You know, so we are hoping to see. Bulldog has not responded to the issue at all. So we are hoping to see what will happen in coming days. Yes.
Right. Now, while some people are parting ways, Obo is retaining or re-emphasizing or reiterating is solidifying his position essentially. So he was retained as music president.
Exactly. It was a keenly contested election.
Wasn't that keenly contested?
It was.
Because at the end of the day, the votes that came out, it didn't look like a keen contest.
The euphoria that came with this election is phenomenal. We haven't experienced a thing like this before.
We thought there was a real challenge to his presidency.
True. And Apietu's, Ambule, and everybody was on Obo's neck. And so we thought that this time around we're going to see something different. But unfortunately, Obo won by 88 votes. Apietu's 18 votes. Ambule had 22 votes. Nothing close to the 88 votes.
A landslide.
Exactly. Nothing close to the 88 vote that Obo got. So Obo has retained his seat as the musical president.
Interesting. Yeah. Right. Prior Tietia.
Yes, you know the story about Prior coming back together. Talk about Prior Tinti and the Tietia.
When they had a show.
Exactly, had the show in Koforidua.
There wasn't no Honey
Horse. The Honey Horse said he wasn't invited. Yes, you know, after that they have been the guys, their wives have been implicated as the reasons why these guys can never get together, because apparently people have been talking about the fact that there's some beef between Sally and Beverly. Beverly is the wife of Prior Honey Horse. She's an actress and the wife of Prior Honey Horse. Yes, Beverly Afaglo. So Big J Cartel, who is Prior Tietia, had his birthday party over the weekend. We caught up with Sally. We decided to ask her, what does she make about this reunion and all that has been said about, you know, these guys? And she says she's so excited that they're back together.
I am so
totally in support of it. I've always wanted this. I mean, before I met my husband, I was a huge fan of choir. I mean, I grew up listening to choir. They are matured music makers. I mean, the whole Ghana loves choir, and we were very heartbroken at their breakup. Not that they are back. What else can we do? The fans called for it, and they've given the fans what they always wanted. I'm so elated.
And so that's your girl, Sally, talking about her husband, you know.
You know she didn't invite me for this party.
Oh, she okay, well, maybe I didn't tell you because she did invite me. I couldn't make it though. But let's talk about the two guys who are making us proud, Reggie and Boli. You know the incorrigible Simon Cowell. He never lets go comments freely. You know, he's never, I always say he's never appreciative of, you know,
I was reading about it. He said some
very good things about them after they performed.
I mean, but just the sound alone,
exactly,
is, you know, it's enough to captivate you. It tells you it was a great performance.
It was, and I love the blend of the colors upstage there.
And beautiful stage.
So much talking about Africa, but like I said to you, someone talked about the fact that, you know, he's never been irritated because these guys are so good, and he thinks that they're good for the competition. That's what he's been saying. Some very kind words he said to them, unlike Simon.
Very unlike
Simon.
Okay, and Bisakede.
Yes, Bisakede laid his mom to rest over the weekend. It was a star-studded event, even though it was a sad one. He had his colleagues from the industry join him, you know, to mourn his mom. And so we put together a report.
We are Ghanaian highlife musician Bisakede laid his mom, Madame Josephine Bruce, to rest over the weekend at Anya in Accra. The funeral ceremony was attended by some of his colleagues in the industry, including his alleged sweetheart Becca, the king of the streets Kwao Kese, the rap software Obrafo, and also music duo Keche. Also present to mourn with him were actresses Emilia Brobe and Benedicta Gaffa. The late mom Josephine Bruce passed on the 19th of August 2015 at Coco Clinic in Accra after battling with sickness for a while. She was 56.
Well, I saw Becca there. This certainly couldn't happen without Becca.
Exactly, but did you see the pose? I was very particular about the pose I saw, you know.
Well, you didn't see it. If it was a movie, you could have seen the whole, you know,
action. But this one,
just a part of the pose. So it could have been anything.
Anyway, you know, we've talked about the fact that, you know, when you're pregnant and you do some dancing, it's good. Kafi, who is a Nigerian dancer, has talked about the fact that, you know, it actually helps you when you're due. And we also saw some excerpts somewhere in Africa.
Somebody's wedding that the woman can
Israel.
Dance. The woman can dance.
When I watched this video, I was like, where's her husband? Even in this situation, you said the way she was...
No, but the way she went, bent all the... Time for sports, and Kwame Jumanchima is here. Good evening to you, Kwame Juma.
Good evening.
I know there are lots of people who are waiting for Mourinho to be sacked.
Maybe.
But it's not going to happen. Not yet.
The club hasn't said so.
You know, here in Ghana we say the NDC has a slogan, JM Twaso, JM Twaso. But I'm asking, in the case of Mourinho, why do you want to say Mourinho and Twaso? At this point, I mean, he's there, the club is becoming really shaky. But one other story of interest to me is a tackle by Abdul Majid Waris.
Very, very strange.
That was gross.
First, is a player who is normally very quiet on the pitch. All he does is to do his business with his boots, and he just seemed to have lost it in their game.
What did the guy do to him? Did the guy
go
for his girl or something?
Normal tackles that the referee did not pay heed to, and he just decided to take matters in his own hands and literally hacked the player. He was sent off straight away.
We have the footage, right?
Yeah, we have the footage, and for our viewers, we're going to be seeing that very shortly. But before we do, the local Black Stars failed to make it to Rwanda 2016 after losing out to the Ivorians, and it's been talk over manager from Grant being given additional responsibilities of the local Black Stars team. Now, the chairman of the Black Stars Management Committee, George Free, says it's something they're going to consider.
We need to look at how many times have we participated in the chant competition. We've had 4 so far. This is the 4th time. Now we've practiced a certain style, which is the one that you are propounding now. In the first edition, where we have the Black Star coach taking over, and then the second edition, another coach in the person of Ebedatu taking over. It didn't work. and then we had Kwesi Appiah then being the head coach of the Black Star, also taking over. So we can emphatically say that if we had to look into the future, those who are making those arguments, it sounds good.
Well, the nominations for the CAF Player of the Year has been shortlisted from 37 to 10, and good news. Well, we get to see whether he's going to be called up for the game against the Comoros on November the 13th. We stay with Ghanaian players, and Samoa Gyan has been the name on the lips of many people who will be counting how much he has in his accounts. Gyan, we are told, earns something in the region of £226,000 every week, equivalent to $350,000. Now, what that means is that he's now ranked 6th as the highest paid player in the world. Lionel Messi leads the ranking with £313,000, over 100,000 more than Samoa Gyan. So he's in very good company there. The PLB Awards were also held over the weekend, and Ash Gold manager Bashir Hayford, who led the side to win the first Qatar Plus Premier League, was voted manager of the season. We caught up with him after receiving his award, and he is delighted with us.
Yes, I want to be an ideal. Coach Bashir Hayford is not imitating anybody. I don't have a nickname where I'm emulating Bakayo or something outside. No. I am Bashir Hayford. I'm a Ghanaian. I want to be a Ghanaian. I want to be an African. I want somebody from Europe to also say that I want to be a coach like Bashir Hayford in Ghana. So I want to sell a brand of Bashir Hayford as a coach. Not emulating, not taking any name. No. I want to capture my own image for people to also emulate my image.
Well, then, to him, let's go to the camp of Chelsea now, and Jose Mourinho's name would simply not go away in the last few hours. He's been handed a stadium ban, and it's been